Hello and welcome to Surveyor Says, the podcast from the National Society of Professional Surveyors. Each week, we bring you fascinating guests that are involved in the profession of surveying. We cover a lot of ground, including Table A Talk with Gary Kent, Point of Order with the NSPS Joint Government Affairs Team, Future Focus, highlighting current and future leaders of the profession, and everything survey-related in between. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast, and hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Surveyor Says. Hello and welcome to another episode of Surveyor Says. My name is Tim Birch, sitting in for Kurt Sumner this week. And I think, if I look back through our records here, I think this is our first foray into talking with our state affiliates. And who better to start with than the great state of Texas? And of course, their executive director, DJ Kyle, and Heather Sides, who is the current president of TSPS?
President-elect.
President-elect. All right. Just like me for NSPS, we're both president-elects, and we're both chomping at the bit to get into that president role. That's right. Well, we thank you, ladies, both for being on. It's great to finally sit down with. I've been telling DJ for a while we've been going to do this. I had the great honor of sitting down with Connor and Shane a couple of times, and oh boy, you guys got your hands full with those guys, those fellas. So, all right. Texas Society of Professional Surveyors. DJ, can you give us a little bit of history? I mean, obviously there's some history there. Because your upcoming conference in October is what, your 70th conference?
It is. It's our 70th convention. So I went back and looked at him, and first, thank you for having me on. I'm glad this worked out. Really appreciate the time. And so Texas Society of Professional Surveyors actually first started as the Texas Surveyors Association, TSA, back in 1951. In 1988, we changed the name to Texas Society of Professional Surveyors. And we currently have 23 chapters across the state with 32 board members. And our membership count is 1458 right now.
Wow.
So that's the current size, and yeah, just under 50 in registered professional land surveyors. That's
impressive, very impressive. So I guess with your role as executive director, how did you get involved with TSPS and a little bit of your background?
Well, I've been in association management for more than 25 years.
Okay.
So I first started, well, I think most people that end up in association management sort of fall into it. I was working for a lobbyist during the 1989 legislative session. And in our building was several associations. And the Physical Therapy Association was looking for somebody with a finance background. And that's my degree from University of Texas at Austin. So hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em horns.
So I first went to work for that association and moved into communications and then meeting planning, deputy executive director. And so since then, I've worked for 6 different associations, all professional associations for over the past 25 years. So I've been with TSPS since 2012. So just over 9 years.
Very good, very good. And Miss Heather, tell us a little bit about your background and what your current position is.
Well, I am president-elect for TSPS, so I will be inducted into that in October. So it's coming up, very shortly. I am the VP at LJA Surveying, and I'm based out of the Houston office there. So I have my hands full with that as well. My background, I started out as an engineering student and working as a surveyor just to get through college. And you know how that tends to go with surveyors, we fall in love with it and stick to it. So yeah, I kind of bounced around a couple different careers for a little bit, but ended up going to work for a surveyor and got licensed in 2007. So I've been doing that, and I have my North Dakota license, and I have my Tsps. So kind of keep on learning and keep on going. But yeah, that's pretty much my quick way of getting here.
Oh, sure. And I would be amiss if we didn't have a little shout out to Cam and Ben Lowe. They were fantastic guests several episodes back, and they all, I mean, both of them spoke so highly of you, and that you've got a good group there, and
I do.
But there again, with the two of them, you've got your hands full. So
yeah, I don't know how many twin surveyors there are out there, so I think that I'm very blessed and challenged. But yeah, they're really great kids, and I love to see how they're advancing and watching their careers go. It's just really exciting.
Well, and I guess that kind of leads me into the next question about, the importance of not just association membership and advocacy, but being there for that younger generation, being there to mentor and to encourage and to push them along. How does that all, I guess, DJ, I'll come back to you. How does that work with association management and basically putting a big bow on all of that, of pushing all of this forward?
Well, as far as watching careers grow and mentoring our members or students, we obviously think that's a big part of our responsibility and at TSPS. We have worked to try to create a mentoring program. I think we still, there's a lot of desire for a program like that, and we need to definitely work on it and fine tune it. But we are, and in fact, I probably will let Heather speak more to this, but focusing on the CST and the training is also programs that we try to really encourage. We have 2 statewide CST sponsored exams, one in the fall and one in the spring each year, and really throughout the year, but really try to do a push twice a year and encourage those programs. But maybe Heather can chime in more on the training.
Sure.
Yeah, so yeah, we do a lot of the CST, RPLS, SIT study groups and training. We have many of the chapters that will host or proctor the CST exam. My chapter in Houston, we try and do it quarterly, actually. I know that the state level is doing it twice a year. We've got so much demand in our area that we've been trying to do that pretty regularly, and I've got a really good, I am surrounded by some really great people, but my chapter is really, really encouraging and has sites and proctors available to be able to do that. And, of course, I always stand up in the beginning of those and say, you guys are setting for your CST, that means you have to give back. So once you become a level 4, then I want you to be sitting in here proctoring as well. So I encourage that at the offset. So as many times as I can encourage that to happen. There is a mentoring program. I know that Bill O'Hara is our current president, and he really wanted to get that going in place. And that was the one thing that when he and I sat and talked, I said, what's the one thing that you didn't do that you wanted to do? And he said, we need to get this in place. So that is something that I think I'm going to really focus on, and maybe even get a task force and stuff set up for a mentoring program. I just think it's so very important.
Absolutely. And a quick shout out to Bill, and we've been and NSPS has been trying to share and repost. I mean, all of the great pictures and chapters he's been visiting, and making sure that those officers are recognized and making sure those chapters are recognized. fantastic job on his part and TSPS because the chapters, I mean, obviously that's very important to the whole organization as well. So, and I guess getting back a little bit to the association membership and the advocacy, and I guess that's great about having strong chapters. DJ, why don't you tell us a little bit about, where can we go as long as we have strong membership and more advocacy? How easier does that make your job, and where do we need to go from there?
Well, obviously membership is the core to any association. So, and we're always trying to find value for our members. I think all associations encounter some comments about paying dues and joining. And so, our goal over the past few years with strategic planning has been to show value. And so we have taken on some new projects. One, in 2020, we completed the compensation and benefits study. That was something our members had been asking for many years. We hired an outside research firm that assisted us with that, and it has been very, very well received among our membership. We've done a couple other things of, updating our manual of practice, our safety handbook, and we offer all of these, free to our members. So as far as a strong membership, we do have a very strong membership, and as I said, the 23 chapters, but we do have some that are non-members, and so we're always challenged to find out why are they not members. I think it's a question that all of us would like to find an answer to. But even with the non-members, we try to show value to them as well, and we've been doing more of that with some of the social media posting and some of the just events and projects that we've done, so that it's not just our members that are aware that TSPS is doing these things that they would value also. So we're just trying to be better at marketing what we have done.
Very good. Well, and something I would like to comment on, because I think maybe it's something in the water down there in Texas, because I've got to give another shout out to Anna Rios, what she has been able to accomplish. There's just something in the water in Texas with women and surveying, and it just makes you incredibly strong. I can't get over how much strength that the women in surveying from Texas have, and it's inspirational. It truly is.
Yeah, we have such a strong support, and we really feed off of each other. There's several of us that are attended convention for years, and we all know each other. We all get together. We're all, just very supportive of each other, and I haven't felt that community anywhere else. I think it's just pretty amazing. So yeah.
So go ahead, DJ.
No, and I think when we did the first women's summit, maybe that was 3 years ago now, it was such an incredible experience. And I'm glad to see that it was done again this year. I know it had to be virtual, but I definitely look forward to the next time it's in person, because I think the women the surveyors had a really great experience, a bonding experience.
Well, and
absolutely.
I think, yeah, and from what I tell you what, all the feedback I got from the participants that I would talk to, yes, it's too bad it was virtual this year, because that first one set the bar pretty darn high, with content, with enthusiasm, just the overall, just how well it came off. And I think that also goes to say the organizers, and how with TSPS's help was able to pull that off. So kudos to all that were involved with that. And so I guess looking forward, and this is part of what I guess the profession really needs to look at, and I look to Texas because of its strength in its women, its minorities, other than just the stereotypical white male. Looking at a target audience for future surveyors. I mean, I look at the Texas surveyors, and that's a great example of what the profession offers and who can be involved in it. What do you think, Heather? I mean, am I seeing that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've made a concentrated effort on that. We've had some people that are really strong that have talked to us, and we're kind of going down that path. One of the things, we just have finished are finishing up our strategic plan for the next 3 years. And a big part of that was more surveyors, better surveyors, and our surveyors. And I keep saying, I'm going to, push that into everybody's brain. By the time 3 years is up, they're going to be like, shut up, Heather. But yeah, so more surveyors. It doesn't really matter if we're doing, we have to do the outreach on youngers, and we got to do the outreach on women and minorities and everything else, because we just need more bodies in this profession. And that's the way to do it, is to be all inclusive. And then we do better surveyors, because we take all of those bodies and we encourage them, and we educate them, and we make them into better surveyors. And we talk about our surveyors, because those are the Tsps surveyors or the NSPS surveyors and everything else, that we have to show that value and why they need to be connected, and why we're a team. So to me, that more better hour is just going to be hammered into people's heads, because that's how we're going to get there. That's how we're going to make this profession better. And it doesn't matter if it's the younger groups that we need to bring in with our Texas Young Surveyors and the Young Surveyor Network and everything else. That's really passionate. But I got to reach out to the women, and I got to reach out to minorities, and we got to do some diversity, because there's so many people out there that don't know what we do. And it's just such an exciting profession that I feel like we're letting them down if they don't know who we are. So,
exactly. And that's what part of the message needs to be from Texas, from national, from everyone, is that there's so much opportunity, and it's not just standing on the side of the road taking pictures or cutting brush through the middle of the woods. There's so many technical opportunities here that it really needs to be broadcast that much more. So I guess, DJ, that kind of brings me to the next question of, can we talk about your strategic plan, and really, what's TSPS got in mind? How are you going to pull this off, and how can the rest of the profession help you?
Well, it's really Heather's strategic plan. The strategic plan, is obviously, is I'm sure NSPS does as well, but it is really, as our president-elect is coming into their term, we start our strategic planning and do that back in July, so that when they take office in October, they are ready to move forward with their goals and objectives. And some of it continues from previous years, but it molds to kind of what we see, or what the president-elect really wants to focus on for their term. I will say that in the previous to creating the strategic plan, we did again use a facilitator that interviewed some of our members, and they were key members that and non-members, I shouldn't say just members and non-members from small surveying offices to very large, and tried to make it a diverse group, and tried to find out what they thought really about TSPS and what they'd like TSPS to do. And so some of that was used in the plan. And Heather, if you want to talk more about some of the goals, I'd say.
Yeah, so what was kind of neat for me is we also took not only the facilitators, but we also took those same questions and we pushed it out to our young surveyors. because to me, they've got some ideas. They're not encumbered by all of the we can't do that, or we've already tried that before. They don't know. So I like to hear their ideas on what they think are the challenges. And to me, that was kind of insightful. So that's part of what we came out of with this three-pronged approach on how to get more people into the profession, and some of the tactics that we're kind of using towards those. And it's everything from going and talking to schools and going and doing more community outreach, getting young surveyors involved in our processes, because again, they've got fresh eyes and fresh ideas, and the ways that we can encourage membership and how to make the people that are around us so much more excited about it.
Very good. Well, and I have to ask, because I keep getting these questions from the national perspective. Okay, you're saying you need people. You say you need to attract new professionals, new technicians, new whatever. I can say that TSPS has been one of the bright spots as far as promotions with social media content and videos and various things. Please tell us that you're seeing some promising results out of those things, because that to me is really where this thing needs to go. Can
I take that?
Oh yes, DJ, go.
Okay, I'm gonna only because talking about diversity also and recruiting students into the profession, we did create a 30-second commercial, and it's a new one, I think, than what NSPS has seen, and specifically did make sure that we were in the video showing young, diverse group surveying with different type of technology in each shot, and we're now streaming it live across Texas. And so streaming versus running a traditional commercial on TV has been much more cost effective. And we're also running it on Twitch, which is a gaming platform. And so we're trying to, because, sometimes it's hard to target people in middle school, but the kids in middle school are using Twitch. And so we're trying to hit middle school, high school with this campaign, and it sends them all to the Become a Texas Surveyor website. And from that, then we get contact forms of questions of how do I get into surveying? And so we have seen an uptick in that. But most importantly, how we know it's working is Anna Rios, who was already mentioned. She was teaching at Austin Community College and some surveying courses there. And she always asks her students when they first start, how did you hear about surveying? And several said the TV commercial. That's when we were like, absolutely, yay, it's working.
Wow, that's impressive, and that's good that you threw, once again, Texas being Texas, throwing out that trial balloon and seeing that it works. That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that, because that's some things that I think between the national and other states are kicking around, and not knowing whether it's really going to be worth it, if it's going to be worth that investment. And it sure sounds like it's paying off. That we can't expect the floodgates to open and have hundreds of thousands of new students and new surveyors, but there again, it's just like the TrigStar program and a few other things. If we get a couple out of it, it's worth it. It really needs to be engaged with. All right. So trying to be a little mindful of your time. We appreciate you ladies being on. So I guess my big final question for both of you, and I'll start with you, DJ, the future of surveying. Where do you see it going from an association perspective and advocacy legislation perspective? I mean, obviously we're fighting legislative battles across the country. Where do you see the future of surveying being from the association view?
I thought about that, and I feel like it's all a full circle, honestly, because the future of surveying is really, for me, on the association side, is the future of TSPS. And so we, need more surveyors, which ideally means then we end up with more members. And then, it's the sustainability of the profession as well as the association. So, I feel like if we can accomplish bringing more into the profession, then the association will thrive. As far as advocacy, we're very lucky that we have a strong governmental affairs team and lobbyists, and we've had some things recently that haven't necessarily gone in the way that we had hoped they would, but we continue to be very active and really are just trying to keep a unified voice in the legislature. And I think that that's what we'll be working on in the future, is just being sure that we're a unified group.
Very good. Ms. Heather, I guess that's really kind of the same question, but from not just an officer of TSPS perspective, but obviously as in private practice and being over a lot of these young scoundrels that you have on your staff, and you can tell them I said that. Where do you see the future of surveying going? I mean, how big of a deal is CST in your opinion? I mean, how far can this thing still continue to grow?
Well, and I think that as much as we focus in on surveyors and the registered professionals that there are, I think that we still have an incredible need for field people. We have an incredible need for technicians. The CST program is, to me, like one of the best things that were created. And I don't know how to say that otherwise, but it gives somebody the opportunity that if they come out of school, they may not know a lot about surveying, but they can take 6 months in, a year in, they can take that CST level 1 and they can start training for that and practicing that. And you can move up through those chains. And what I tell a lot of my people is, by the time that you take the CF3 level 3, you're about 6 months away from being able to really sit for the SIT exam and take the FS exam. And it gives you some baby steps to be able to progress in your career. And at any point you can say, I got one down, I'm good with that. And we have a place for you. We have a home for you to have a profession, and you have a career here and everything else, if that's as far as you want to go. But if you want to go clear on up and go to get your RPLS or your PLS, and you want to progress into more states and everything else, there's all those opportunities there. To me, there is something here for everybody. There's just so much that we can be doing. I can take anyone and plug them into something that we do, and that may be working with drones, and that may be doing GIS, and that may be running a field crew, and that may be a lot of different things. But yeah, we're so diverse. There's so much that we can do that everybody could have a place in this profession.
Wow, I do not think that could have been scripted any better, and it wasn't. And for the record, it was not scripted. That was
not scripted.
That
That's
was
smart.
off
Yeah.
the cuff. That was fantastic. I gotta give it to you both that Texas and TSPS are in good surveying hands. With the like I said earlier, I've seen Bill O'Hara on everything. He's been everywhere in Texas this year. Congrats to him for what seems to me from an outside view as a wonderful presidency. You're handing the torch off to Heather, and I think I think it's going to be in good hands. And then of course having DJ oversee all of this is I can't say enough about you ladies. I appreciate you taking the time and really give us a good, fresh, positive perspective on where surveying is in 2021. We'll get through the pandemic even some point in time, but you've offered a lot of positivity. So, DJ, any final last words you'd like to shout out to anybody or anything?
Oh, I just will quickly say that, our convention's coming up in October, and we have the NSPS President Mark Sargent coming, and we're excited to have him, and we look forward to having you, Tim, next year.
I look forward to it. Heather, how about you?
Oh, we're gonna have a really good time. We're really excited about convention coming. We're gonna have most of it face to face, but we have a virtual option. So we're kind of doing a little bit of everything. So just hold on. We're on our way. Yeah. So.
Well, and I need to add one last thing because I'm talking to Texans. I spent an early part of my career in Texas, in Dallas, and the man is still near and dear to my heart. Mr. Chris Freeman was my party chief while I was in Dallas, and I still think the world of that guy. He's the basis of everything that I've been able to accomplish in my career. So please, Pat, if you see him next month, please pass on a hello from me and buy him a beverage because he's a wonderful man. So.
I will do that personally. Yes. Okay.
Good. And then while you're at it, you can go ahead and smack Shane and Connor around a little bit too.
I will do that just because. Yes.
Exactly. All right. Well, ladies, thank you for coming on. And like I said, a breath of fresh air in the being positive, a positive outlook for where things are going in a sometimes gloomy world. But no, we appreciate you being on. And this has been Tim Birch for Surveyor Says. Stay tuned for the next few episodes. This is episode 95. We've got some surprises for episode 100. Who would have thought we'd have gotten up to 100 episodes? It's incredible. But so until next time, we'll see you later. Thank you. You've been listening to the Surveyor Says podcast, brought to you by the National Society of Professional Surveyors. If you have any questions about today's episode or any other topic, please email us at info@nsps.us.com, and we are here to help. Visit our website, nsps.us.com, to learn more about our association, the programs we administer and support, our sustaining members, and information about future episodes of Surveyor Says. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. And remember, it's a great day to be a surveyor.